right, we should be on with the recording part. Let me go ahead and go live on Facebook here. 1 second.
Love your baseball cap, Randy.
Yep. All right, there we go. Well, hey, welcome everybody to Get Motivated with Lorin and Randy. We are live on Facebook. This is the first time we've ever tried doing that, so it'll be exciting to see how it works. So, hey, joining me today is Lorin Nicholson, all the way in Australia, and I'm here in North Potomac, Maryland. And Lorin suggested a great thing for us to talk about today, and I'm going to let Lorin share that with us real quick.
G'day, Randy. G'day, everybody. Lovely to have you all join us. And we really hope that we not only share a couple of, valuable tips with you, but just inspire you to get something more meaningful and inspirational from life itself. And today we're going to talk a little bit about challenging ourselves. And it's something that really scares a lot of people. We tend to sit in our comfort zone a lot. We don't kind of want to get out of that. We find ourselves in a rut. And sometimes you're looking at your life. You love my Aussie accent, do you, Randy?
Hang on, Lorin, 1 second.
There we go, yeah.
All right, hang on. We're almost live here.
There we go. We're broadcasting, Randy.
Okay.
We're all live. Hello, this is Lorin Nicholson with Get Motivated, all the way from Brisbane, Australia. Joining me with Randy.
Yep. Awesome. All right, here we are. Now I see us popping up on Facebook. All right, we're going to try this again. Welcome to Get Motivated with Lorin and Randy. This is my buddy Lorin Nicholson in Australia. You'll hear him talk and you're going to love it. And I'm in North Potomac, Maryland. So go ahead, Lorin. You've got some things you want to share first, and I'll hop in there.
Yeah, Randy, thanks for that. It's lovely to have you guys join us, and lovely to, isn't it great we can connect around the world nowadays and share a few things with each other. And, for those who don't know, who may be joining us for the very first time, I'm not only from Australia, but I was born legally blind, so I had less than 10% eyesight. And so life has had a lot of significant challenges along the way. And I've spent a lot of my life sharing a lot of my life experience with people in various motivational keynote settings. And I want to just share a couple of things with you, and Randy's going to join in here too, Randy, because you've got a wealth of experience as well. But today we're going to talk a little bit, I want to talk to Randy and to all of you a little bit about challenging yourself, because, I see a lot of people that, well, they come up to me and they'll say, oh man, I wish I could play guitar like you, or, oh yeah, gee whiz, you've achieved so much with your life. And there's only one way that happens, and that's to really push yourself out of your comfort zone and to really challenge yourself. And it's not easy to do that, because you really make yourself vulnerable doing that. And you can, find that quite a fearful thing. And so we tend to sit in our comfort zone with things that we, very used to. And it's like sitting in the middle of a big building and not being too scared to go and explore the other rooms in the building. It's a shame, because there's some amazing experiences and opportunities out there for us. And so I guess one of the sayings I want to just kick this off, and maybe something to take away with you today, is there is no growth in your comfort zone, and there is no comfort in your growth zone. You like that, Randy?
I love that. It's a great play on words, but it's so true, because it's like, if you're going to, if you got a goal that you really want to achieve, there's all this stuff in between that you have to do to get there. And so it's going to be a little bit painful growing to that. But if you don't do anything, then nothing will happen. So you've got to really work hard to be able to achieve that goal. And it's going to take a lot of stuff to get through to be able to make that goal.
And it's amazing how when you do push yourself out of that, I mentioned something a little bit earlier. One of the things that stops a lot of people, because we sit there and we think about it and we dream about it. And and probably with some of the other videos we're going to do later on, some of these things will keep coming up because it's just so common for us to just get a little bit scared, you know? And so we don't try. It's easier just to stay where you are for fear of failure or fear of ridicule or fear of not measuring up or whatever it is you're scared of. And so people tend to just stay where they are. But when you do that, you sort of find yourself looking around at everybody else, and it's like, heck, wow, they're lucky. They are achieving this, or they've achieved that, or they're really good at this and really good at that. And I suppose there's a whole heap of different subjects that can really come up with that, like, not comparing yourself, your weaknesses with other people's strengths. That's maybe number one thing to bear in mind.
Right.
Because, isn't it? Because everyone's better than you at something. But the reality is you're better than them at something as well. And in the end, it's kind of not like you've got to be better than them. The only person you're trying to be better than is you. Where were you yesterday and where are you today? And maybe where would you like to be tomorrow? So
Right.
Something I'd like to challenge you all to do is choose or identify something. Really sit down and ask yourself the question, what is it that I really need to do to get out of my comfort zone? What am I a little bit scared of? Or what's stopping me from getting out there and achieving my goal or my dream, and then work out what are you going to do about that? What can we do? And they're usually small steps.
Yeah, you know what? And there's a couple of ways to look at this too, because we've all grown up and had certain things that we want to accomplish. When you're a kid working on something to get better at something, you think like that. But as an adult, you have all this experience. And when stuff happens or you want to achieve something, it's a little more scary because you have too much information, too much experience in life. And it's like, well, if I try this, and that's like the last time I did this. Where when you're a kid, you don't really think like that because you don't have as much experience. Lorin, you've played guitar for years, and I'm sure that it took practice, obviously, to get where you are, right? To be able to do that, you had to practice.
And that's right. And when you sit and analyze, I mentioned before about people coming up and saying, "Oh, wow, I wish I could play guitar like you." And it'd be the same for you. Hey, I'd love to play piano like you, Randy. But in many ways, that's a very unfair thing to ever say to somebody, because the reality is you can be a good guitar player like me or a good piano player like you, but you've got to sit on the end of your bed or on your piano bench for 20 years to get to that. And, or even 1 year or 1 month even, there's a level of sacrifice, isn't there, involved in getting to that. And while I was sitting there practicing my guitar, as a teenage boy, what were all my friends doing?
Yeah.
They're on their Xbox, or they're outside on their skateboard or whatever they were doing. And so while I was sacrificing some of those momentary pleasures, I'm challenging myself, and I'm out of my comfort zone, and your fingers get sore, and you have to put the guitar down and come back to it and give it another try. And over time, you see the growth occurring as a result of that sacrifice that you've made.
Well, it's just like, we see, in the media and stuff like that, oh, so-and-so, and it looks like they were an overnight success. It's like, but really they've been working at something for years and years and years to get there to that particular moment. And so again, to your point, why will we compare maybe something that we want to be better at that we're not at, there's somebody's best? Here's another thing to think about with that as well. Even if you're good at something, something can happen along the way to make things different. About 19 months ago, as a pianist, you develop kind of your own style, and you develop a way of doing things that works for you, and it keeps you kind of moving forward and in the zone where you need to be. Then all of a sudden, something happens that changes that. I tripped over something when I was walking one morning in April last year, about 19 months ago, and I fell on my wrist. And that is the worst thing that you can do as a guitarist or a pianist at all. I was so scared because I knew that something had happened. I didn't fracture anything. I'm grateful for that. And I went back to play the piano that morning, and it's like, yeah, okay, so it still seems to be working. But over time, over the next few months, it started to degrade. And so things that would normally be second nature to me, like I'm sitting there playing and I reach over here to play something and I hit the right notes. All of a sudden it wasn't working anymore and it freaked me out. So for a while I didn't play. And then I started challenging myself to do like a little Facebook Live. On Friday mornings, I do Fortissimo Friday, where I share like a healthy thought and then I'll play something. But there were days over the past, ever since I started doing that, where I didn't want to, because I would think of something I wanted to play and then I'd sit down to play it and it wouldn't work. And the wrong notes would come out. And that's just not, I'm not used to that. And so sometimes I wanted to give up and I didn't do it and I didn't want to, but then I'd force myself to do it. And I finally had to get over myself with the perfectionism thing because, you know, I played a lot of sessions and stuff while I was in college and it becomes second nature to you. But all of a sudden things just aren't working anymore and you just want to give up. But I kept making myself do it. Every once in a while I'd make a mistake, but you just have to give yourself grace and just move on. And you also realize that everybody doesn't notice the same thing that freaks you out. Like you go back and you listen to something on a recording later and it's like, oh, well, that wasn't so bad. You know, it felt terrible going through it, but everybody doesn't hear that. They're just excited that you're trying and you're trying to move something forward and you're trying to share something that might motivate them because we're not all perfect. We are going to make mistakes and we have to allow ourselves to be able to do that. So
it's interesting. So I find that too, Randy. You know, I mean, we become hypersensitive, don't we, about our own weaknesses or imperfections. But you know, everyone out there really stickler. I think most people out there, they want you to succeed. You know, when you get on stage or get out there, people genuinely, I think, want you to do well and they're pretty forgiving of that. I remember when I was, funny you're talking about that, because when I was about 15, I remember our music class at school, we went downtown and we did some busking just as a class project. And when it was my turn to get out and busk, I was sitting there with my guitar plucking away and I heard somebody walking along because I couldn't see them coming, but I could hear their footsteps. And they come walking along, and as they're getting close, I'm like, oh, hang on, there's someone coming. And I stopped playing and I waited for them to go past, you know. And then I started playing again until I heard someone else's footsteps. I'm like, hang on, stop again. And, you know, but yet when you look at what would you say, a self-conscious or a bit of a shy or, you know, 15-year-old boy, and then think, let's fast forward that now, you know, maybe another 20 years later, and I end up playing on, you know, national television here in Australia at a big Christmas concert with millions of people watching on television. So, like, how do you get from the nervous kid on the main street of town who couldn't even play in front of one person to playing in front of millions of people on national television? And there was probably a number of steps along the way that helped me to achieve that, but it wouldn't have happened if I didn't decide, look, I'm going to have to do something about this and just get out of my comfort zone and do it. And you know what, even though you make a little bit of a mistake, you get to the end of you get to first base and you think to yourself, wow, I actually made it. I actually got here and I survived.
yeah, that's exactly.
And the more
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, we have to be willing to, even though we're going to make mistakes, we have to be willing to do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. And we're going to find that we'll fail our way to success. I mean, how many times did it take to get the first light bulb right? You know, tons and tons of
that story.
failing it, but was it really failing? It was finding out ways that it didn't work. And then you finally, so that was a learning process. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. So they do it differently, and then all of a sudden it works. So it's like we have to be willing to do things that we've never done to be able to have something that we really want to have, that we've always wanted to have. And so you said something too, Lorin, that I wanted to mention: become a lifelong learner. So what are we doing to develop ourselves? Be willing to try new things. And also, people appreciate it when you're just real. You know, when you're willing to try something, knowing that there's a possibility that that it's not going to work, but but it's part of the growth process to do that and be willing to be seen by other people as not being perfect, because none of us are perfect. The only way to grow is to try new things, be willing to get out of our comfort zone, and then kind of move forward from there. Do you have any experience about that as well?
I do, Randy, and it's like it's interesting. I was just thinking there. One of the things that's helped me, and going back to even that first example I mentioned about not even being able to busk on the main street of town. Like the first thing that helped me was to find a buddy, to find a friend that I could sit next to, and we both play together. And so you'd sort of be encouraging each other. And in fact, the same thing happens now. I was never a runner as a kid. I was a pretty good sprinter because I'm a fairly big, strong guy, but not really good at long distance running or anything like that. And I went out, a guy said, "Hey, why don't you come out for a run with me?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, I don't know about that." But, I thought, "Oh, well, what have I got to lose? I'll give it a try." And I went out and, I was pretty tired. I was pretty smashed by the end of it, but after about a couple of months, I'm all of a sudden running better than my mate now. But the point is that you're there kind of offering kind of support and encouragement. And yeah, you just got a buddy there to do it with. And that's one of the things that I think is, well, firstly, they help you to get out of your comfort zone, number one. And number two, you kind of encourage each other to sort of push outside of your boundaries a little bit. And you both kind of win.
Yeah.
You both benefit.
Yeah, I love that. It's good to have. It's part of our own accountability to be able to be part of something with someone else or with a group sometimes to help us move forward. Well, we're sort of coming up on our time here, but man, it's been great being with you today, Lorin, and thank you for all your words of wisdom. And I hope that we've both shared something to give you some value today, folks. Be willing to get out of your comfort zone and try new things. If something is scaring you because you've made mistakes at it before, don't be afraid to just keep trying, because you're going to learn every time what doesn't work. And then at a certain point, it's going to start getting better. But you got to start somewhere and just keep moving forward. Thanks for joining us today for Get Motivated with Lorin and Randy. And until next time, I believe probably in a couple of weeks, Lorin, because next week is coming up on Christmas.
Yeah.
So we want to wish
Yes, we
everybody.
might do one. Yeah, leading into the new year, we've got plenty more to come, and
Yeah,
we'll
absolutely.
look forward to that. Hey, you guys all take care of yourselves. Merry Christmas, and look after your family. And as you approach the new year, look at that challenge we talked about earlier, and let's make it a really successful year. We've had a tough year this year, haven't we?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
let's let's put all that behind us, and when life brings you lemons, let's make lemonade.
That's right. One day at a time, folks. Baby steps is the way to do it. So, all right. Thanks for joining us, you guys. We'll see you
Yeah.
soon. Take care. All
Take
right.
care.